work, 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 work. To me, I be work, 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 work. See me do me dirt, 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 dirt. So me by that work, 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 work. When you walk a line, 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 line. In the girls, them hurt, 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 hurt. Drive me a dessert. Nothing to have you lurking.
Yeah.
You make a like, now you not like it. You know I dealt with you the nicest. Nobody touched me in the righteous. Nobody text me in a crisis. I believe that all of your dreams are duration. You took my heart, all my keys, and my patience. You took my heart, I must leave a decoration. You mistaken my love, I brought for you for found.
Hey YouTube, it's your girl Miss Angie, and as you see by the title, I am going to be talking about in this video my journey with my second pregnancy. And I just want to first give a shout out to all the moms, the first time moms, the moms who have multiple kids, mothers who have adopted kids. I just want to say that it is a true journey, as you know, and that this is a continued day by day process, trying to be a mother, trying to be the best that you can be. Do not give up on yourself, because I'm telling you, it's something that we all as mothers can relate to. What I have definitely learned is that children are going to throw surprises at you. They are going to definitely be have different personalities. Like, it's so much to being a mother, being a parent in general. But I just want to give a shout out to all my mothers out there, giving birth, being pregnant, however the process is for you. It is not always easy. It is not always easy. So I just wanted to do a video talking about this process for me with my second child. I also just want to make a quick disclaimer, like I do in my videos. This is not a video to try to tell people how to live their lives or how to operate. This is, once again, just another video to help and kind of just share my journey and my process. So let's get into the video. I also wrote kind of like in me, like I tell you guys, I am a person who will journal. I'm the type person that has a list. So I kind of have a list of how I want, you know, my choice of topics to go in this whole process. So you guys just bear with me like you always do, and let's get into the video. So the first key point that I wanted to put out was when I found out I was pregnant. Oh my goodness. I found out I was pregnant in July. Matter of fact, after 4th of July of 2022. And at that time, my job was currently on, kind of like during the summertime, we have a shutdown. So my job was on a shutdown, and I found out I was pregnant. Was it a surprise? Yes, it was. And I say that only because with my daughter, when I was with my daughter's father, we had already talked about wanting a child. So it was more like planned. Like, if I was to find out I was pregnant, it was already, okay, this is what we were doing. We were working on having a child. In this process, this wasn't the case at the moment. We definitely had kind of talked, and we're saying, okay, me coming into the relationship with a daughter, and him coming, my boyfriend currently coming into the relationship with a daughter as well, we kind of decided, hey, you know, let's go ahead and focus on us building our relationship, you know, combining our families, and just, you know, in our future, we were looking at possible vacations and things like that. And I just want to say, my son, if you ever watch this video, understand that you are truly loved. This was just the process that we were in at that moment. Like, we just knew, you know, we knew that we were getting older, and things as far as with our work lives and just the whole, we just, you know, had already pretty much talked and said that we probably wouldn't have any more kids. But like they always say, when you tell God your plans, God will show you that's not the route we're going. So when I found out, I was definitely shocked. How I felt in that moment, it was a lot of different things that I was feeling. Number one for me, and I know that I've talked about this on my channel, was the thing of being married. Now, I know that as I went through or going through my journey, I noticed for myself that, yes, I told myself I wanted to date different. I wanted to find, I want to find me, understand what I wanted for myself, and I knew I wanted to date differently, because when you date different, you get different results. That is very true. I also knew for myself that I didn't want to rush into marriage, but I knew I wanted to be married before I had another child. So at the time, I was in my apartment with me and my daughter, and he also had his own home that he was living in, renting from. So it was definitely, okay, I'm pregnant, we're in two different homes, I'm not married. It kind of was a little scary for me, because I was like, well, I don't exactly know how this is going to all work out. So prayer definitely was, like, I had to pray on this. Like, it was a lot in that moment that I was thinking about. I was thinking about work. I was thinking about just the whole process of introducing another child to our kids. It was so many different things. And then also in the back of my head, thinking about the process of telling family and friends that you are pregnant, and knowing that you, once again, been brought up in a home of, make sure you're married first, and I'm not married, and now I'm having my second child. So it's a lot of, I guess, different feelings that I was feeling, happy and a little disappointed in myself, because, like I said, I just had a process for myself. So that was rough. And also how, I guess, others would look at me, even though I've definitely been dealing with, the whole people pleasing, like trying not to please others. But in that moment, I was like, like, wow. So now they're going to say she is, pregnant with her second child. And that was very, very rough. As the months went on, before it was even, matter of fact, the week before it was time for me to go back to work after the shutdown, I turned around and was getting sick. Like, I was throwing up like crazy. It was different smells of food was like, no, like, it was cut off for all meats at one point. It was cut off for just, I could barely drink water. Like, it was hard. And for a person that loves food, like I love to eat, it was hard because I couldn't eat. I couldn't drink water. It got so bad to the point that I had to be hospitalized twice. And I had to get IV fluids because of the fact that I was not eating or drinking much. So it slowly just was like, okay, I was good. I had an appetite, and then turned around, and months, or like I said, a few weeks in, going to a month, it was like, no. So I had to take off from work, and that was hard, because now you're battling with the fact of, okay, I got a baby on the way, and I'm dealing with that, and now I'm taking off from work, and I'm not going to get the same money that I would get from my job working or having overtime as I would being on medical. So that was a struggle in itself altogether. I was like, oh my goodness. And then on top of that, I can't eat, and I've been hospitalized twice. Like, it was hard. And so the difference between that was with my daughter, I was sick, but it was like with my son, it was like times 10. Like, I was able to eat with my son probably between the fifth or sixth month. I started to get my appetite back. It wasn't in full, but I started to get it back. And when I did start to get my appetite back, it was like certain foods that I would be on for weeks. So like Qdoba, I was hitting up Qdoba like for 3 or 4 5 weeks. And then I would hit I forgot the name of that place, but something like Blaze Kitchen, like pizza, where I would make my own pizza, and I would be like in there. Like, I just was, it was like moments at a time. Like, when the baby was like, okay, we're done with that, we're on to the next thing. So it was like, wow, I was on this whole thing with cereal for a minute. Then I was on this whole thing with salads, wraps, like making chicken wraps, and it was just crazy to me. And so it was like I was binge eating this stuff depending on what week it was. So anyways, that was, I would say, challenges for the beginning of the pregnancy. Me and my boyfriend, we did have a talk, and we talked about, I was just kind of wanting to see what options there was. For my boyfriend, it was like, there is no options. We're going to keep the baby. But I want to be open about this part of the pregnancy, because there are a lot of women that have made the option to get rid of their child. And as far as because of maybe financial reasons, or because they are not prepared to take care of a child. And so I don't want to dig too deep into that, because I understand that everyone has their own reasoning. So I'm not trying to shed light on that. I know for me growing up, abortion was not an option. And so I was like, okay, I knew in my head that wasn't what I wanted to do, and I knew my boyfriend felt very strong against it. But what hits you as a woman when you're dealing with the morning sickness, when you're dealing with what are we going to do financially? And I know the answer would be, hey, it's very simple. Don't engage in that type of activity. But when some things happen and this is the outcome of what happens, then you have to deal with it the best way you can. And I understand that. But yes, my family is definitely against having an abortion. Like I said, I don't want to dig too deep into it, because every woman has their right and their option. So for me, it was a conversation that me and my boyfriend had to have, and I just was like, I'm just so sick. And so I feel like for me, like how I knew with my daughter, I was sick, but I was able to kind of just journey through that. Whereas with my son, when it comes to the point where you can't drink water and you're losing weight and you're dehydrated, that was very rough for me. That was very hard for me. So I looked at it like, okay, we ended up going to this clinic that did like the ultrasounds, and it was somebody that I could talk to, and I love the women at that clinic because they were very understanding. They talked to me, and they were talking, basically about, asking me what my options was and what I would like to do, and they were able to give me a free basically a free ultrasound of the baby. So I feel like for women who are, up and down about what they want to do, they have all type of free clinics that you can go to. Clinics like this clinic that I went to, they had different resources that were able to, basically, this is the type of help that you may need if you want to do adoption, or this is the type of, different options. They just don't want you to come in there and basically, already said you have made your mind up. They want to talk to you and see really where your head's at, to understand where you're at. So I appreciated that. So of course, when we got the ultrasound and we seen how small the baby was, I just knew, that this is what I got to do. I'm like, we're here, and I don't need to give up, and I don't need to, journey any further about what this is. As far as what I need to do, I'm, going to go through this full pregnancy and keep it moving. So in that, it was like, okay, now I felt comfortable finally, telling people that I was pregnant. So, the regular doctor's visits as usual, every month, basically checking the baby's heartbeat, making sure that everything was good, making sure that further as your appointments, you do your glucose test and things like that. So I stayed up on top of my regular appointments and making sure that I, wanted to make sure that the baby was good. Because with me having hyperemesis, I had to kind of try to find different ways to take medicine to help that. And for me, it's scary because I didn't want to take anything. Like, I'm that person where it's like, I don't want to take no cold medicine. I don't want to take anything. Even if the doctor says you can take it, I'm like, I don't want to take it. So it was hard because I'm like, the fear of, you know, something happening to my child because I'm taking something to try to help the nauseated feeling to try to eat, is like I had to figure out something, because at the end of the day I have to eat. So that was a little rough, but I made sure I stayed on top of my doctor's appointments, made sure that I took my prenatal vitamins, and just trying to stay, which was also another thing, because with my prenatal vitamins the first few months, by me throwing up so much, I would be like barely able to keep down my prenatal vitamins, which was hard. So but as soon as I started to get my appetite back, I was able to start taking my prenatal vitamins during that time. Another thing that was hard for me, and because I also talk about on my channel with my mental health, and I've already posted my first video, so I would love for you guys to check that also, for my mental health series. But for me, it was like your girl is in fear. Number one, it was hard because it's like I'm pregnant and then you still deal with COVID. And so during that time, like my son was going to be born like the first week of March, which that did not happen. He came earlier, which I'll talk about that a little bit later. So my thing was, I'm like, okay, you know, of course, stay masked up, because when I did officially go back to work, I wanted to make sure I wore my mask, because I'm going back to work. I went back to work towards the end of October. So when I went to work, I was basically trying to, you know, stay safe. I knew it was during like cold and flu season, or beginning to start cold and flu season. So I was just trying to stay protected the best way I could, so that my health was good and it wouldn't hurt, you know, my baby in that process. So when you already got fears on top of being pregnant, on top of the different moods and hormones that you're dealing with, it was hard. Your girl was like trying to just stay out the way. And it wasn't as severe as how my fears was when COVID first started, but it was just like I seen stories, and of course, when you Google something and it tells you all of the reasons why, and you YouTube something and it tells you all of this and that and stories. And so my biggest thing was just try to stay healthy, because it was like my nerves was like, okay, I'm gonna be in the hospital, it's cold and flu season, plus we got COVID going on. I was just a spectacle. Okay, it was a lot. So a lot of prayers, a lot of, you know, moments where I'm like, okay, we're here, this is what it is. But yes, one of my main fears was of, you know, getting sick, because it was during the winter time, and I've heard of women, you know, getting sick and being pregnant. And of course, like I said, when you are pregnant, it's good to look up things, but always stay one-on-one with your doctor, because some of that stuff that you're looking up is not going to help you during your pregnancy, and everyone's pregnancy is different. So I do want to also note that. And like I stated, I went back to work, which going back to work, it wasn't necessarily hard, but when it's you and you're carrying another baby, and my son was sitting low and I have to do a lot of walking, it was a lot for your girl, okay? And then I started having Braxton Hicks contractions, and your girl was in there like, I don't know if I'm having a baby, and everybody around me is like, we gotta call the little ambulance truck to come get you. So everybody was like on high alert, like, okay, we cannot have you having this baby at work. And so I understood. So another thing that was really special was I also had a regular baby shower that my friend did, and she cooked and everything for us, and then she also gave me a baby shower at work. So I love that, because it was so special, and everyone from my job had put in and just made it so special, you know. And that's another thing, having support from friends and family when you are having your first child or your second child, it helps, because like they say, it takes a village to raise a child, and people don't understand, like, and if you don't have kids, I'm sorry, it's like you go through diapers like crazy, onesies, like they grow out of them so fast. So I definitely appreciate everyone who came to our baby shower and helped at my job. Like, it was truly appreciated. So I loved it so much, and it just helped out. It just helped out a lot, especially by me already taking off time from work, and then and it was a lot on my boyfriend because he was helping out while I was off, so it was a lot. So we definitely truly appreciate that. We definitely do. So now I've been working. I worked up until my labor, like until I was like, okay. So I remember working that week and got off work that Friday, and I'm like, I feel like this boy is going to come soon. Like, I just knew, and other people said it, and even my doctor was saying how low he was sitting. I'm like, he's gonna come. So early Saturday morning, I want to say it might have been around 1 or 2 a.m., I'm sitting there and I'm like, okay, I feel contractions. And so my daughter is up and she's like excited because she's wondering like what's going on. So I'm trying to count them, and they seem to be at least 5 minutes apart. So I'm like, let's get to the hospital. So call my boyfriend, we're counting them, and then I officially was like, okay, let's go to the hospital because I feel like this baby is coming. The baby was coming, okay? The baby was coming. They were like, we're gonna keep you because you are like 4 to 5 centimeters dilated. And so I'm like, okay, it's getting real. Like, and for first time moms, that's basically saying how your cervix is for, preparing for the baby to come. So I was like at 4 or 5 centimeters, and I could feel it. I'm like, it's definitely about to be it. Like, he's on his way. So the process with the hospital, it went really good because at the time that we went was early in the morning. It wasn't a lot of traffic. So I definitely appreciate the nurses who were there to assist. The first room that they put me in, once they kind of signed me in, and they knew once they called my doctor, that's how they knew to keep me also, because they seen how far I was, but they didn't know if they were going to send me home. So when my doctor said go ahead and keep her, that's when they signed me in to make sure that I had a room and everything. So shout out to the nurses there. They definitely made sure that I was good. We had a room where it was like, it felt like the air was on and it was cold. And one of the nurses moved me to another room where I felt way more comfortable. It was actually a little warmer in that room. So I definitely suggest when you guys pack your bags, make sure that especially during the winter time, just make sure that you have extra socks or extra cover. It's always good, because I did bring my own PJs from home because I figured, okay, I want to probably change to something comfy, make sure I have my own comfy socks. A lot of stuff I packed, to have for my own comfortability and not to have to use, stuff from the hospital. So, depending on when you're going to, when your baby is due, I definitely would pack for whatever, because even during the summertime, they can have the air on, and if you get cold easily, it's good to have, something with you. So I would say I was in labor for almost 12 to 14 hours, and then him coming out, and it was a little bit of a rush. He was bigger than my daughter. My daughter was around 6 pounds 12 ounces. My son was like 7 pounds 11 ounces, in that area. So yes, he was bigger, so it took a little more time. And your girl asked for the epidural because I was like, I can't, the pain, I was feeling it. I was like, hold on, I have to, I was holding on to the bed. Like, I was like, I need the epidural. So the epidural went good. Of course, when you get the epidural, you have to make sure that you don't move, because you don't want to have any spinal injury. And I know some women are, against certain medications, but for me, I'm not good with pain, so I needed help. But so overall, when my son, he came on February the 18th, 2023, and I was so excited. He came later on that day, close to night, like I would say mid-evening, and when I saw him, I was just so excited. I'm like, oh my goodness, I had a second kid. Like, I can't believe it. But the fact of it all finally getting to that moment and seeing him was so exciting. Like, I would say for my overall view of it, yes, the struggle of a pregnancy is definitely a struggle. Like, it's so true. But the outcome of it, going through it, dealing with it, you know, I just had to fight it out. And to see his face and to see that he was healthy, I was a little nervous because when he came out, I didn't hear no cry. And he had his eyes closed. And I'm like, hold on, y'all, make sure he good. I was nervous because, of course, like I told y'all, fear for me is like, woo. I was like, hold on, is he okay? But my boyfriend was, you know, over there with the nurse and made sure he was good. But the overall experience, yes, it was very rough in the beginning. And it also took a toll on me as far as me losing a lot of weight. I lost almost 20 pounds because I wasn't eating, because I wasn't drinking water. But what I would say is that going through it, it was like, I was so excited to see him. I'm like, oh my goodness, I had a second child. And I also want to shed light on, you know, I understood that there are women out here who can't have kids. There are women out here who struggle with maintaining the full term of a pregnancy. And I totally understand that. So, you know, me going through this, it was like, you know, I was just so happy that I continued with the pregnancy and I fought it out. Like, I continued and I fought it out. And I just knew at the end of the day that God got me. Like, God has me. Like, I don't know what was going to happen later on, but God got me. And even after my son was born, me and my boyfriend was able to get a place together, and it worked out for all of the kids. So it just worked out. But in that moment, I understand that we all see gray areas in our life where it's like, it's looking cloudy. It doesn't look like things are going to work out. And believe me, we have all been there. I have been there. But I just want to say there's always a positive at the end of it. There's always something to look forward to. And when I finally saw my son, I was like, oh my goodness, like I did it. I did it. Even though I couldn't have the food I wanted. And it was so funny because there was another girl that I worked with, and she had her son a month or two earlier than I did. And it was so interesting because I remember me and her would talk, and I asked her, I was like, do you have any issues with, you know, throwing up or not eating? And she was like, no, I can eat anything. And I'm like, you lucky because I can't eat nothing hardly. Like through that little kind of valley of the ups and downs and the turns and twists, it was like, my son is here. You know, my son is here. He's safe. He's good. He's healthy. And, you know, why was I worrying? Why was I overthinking it? You know, and so I just want to send that story out to a lot of women who are dealing with, you know, their first time pregnancy, second time pregnancy, or any little trial that you have in your life, especially being a mother of kids. Just understand that you can get through it. Understand that there are always going to be ups and downs. And as your kids grow up, it's going to be trial and error. And you have to understand that you can only do the best that you can do. And put yourself, you know, and just put yourself in that space of, I'm going to be the best parent I can be. And don't give up. Just don't give up. I understand, like I said, I'm not here to judge anybody's situation or how they operate when it comes to having another child. But what I want to say is that don't give up. Always be in communication with your doctors. Always ask questions. Like I said, you might not want to always Google and YouTube, but ask the questions to your doctors. Ask the questions to people who have had, you know, kids. And just stay positive, stay uplifted. And like I said, every pregnancy is different. So you have to operate and move in what's best for you. So once again, I just want to say thank you guys for watching this video. Please like, comment, and subscribe to your girl's channel. And I will see you guys on the next video. Thanks for watching. Bye.